Hi everyone, I'm Asna and welcome to our weather demonstration. This is a disclaimer that the person performing these experiments is a trained scientist with all the necessary personal protective equipment. Please be careful if attempting at home. For this experiment, you'll need a glass jar with a lid, hot water, ice cubes, food coloring, some hairspray, 2 1-liter pop bottles, and water and a connector funnel. Weather is the result of changes in the atmosphere that lead to the formation of things like clouds, snow, or rain. As the temperature and wind change high up in the atmosphere, it can also lead to hurricanes, tornadoes, and so much more. Today we'll be looking at how clouds are made, and we'll be making our very own little cloud in the jar. We'll also be making a tornado in a bottle. The formation of clouds is a part of the water cycle that involves the heating of small particles of water that are already in the air, called water vapor. The sun causes the water vapor to heat up, which causes it to rise. This is similar to how steam rises from boiling water in a pot, or how the steam is rising in our hot water in our jar here. So fill your own jar about a third or less than a third up with water, and make sure that it's hot enough that you can see some steam escaping. Drop some food coloring in there so that you're able to make your clouds stand out really well. Cover the jar so that none of the water vapor escapes. In the real world, as water vapor rises, it begins to cool since the temperature is lower higher up in the atmosphere. Lower temperature and lower pressure up there cause the water to slow down and pack together in a process called condensation. So in order to kind of simulate those conditions in our little jar, we'll take some ice and pile it on to the top of the jar. This is going to allow for the warm air inside of the jar that's rising right now to encounter cold as it gets to the top. Next, we'll swiftly take off the lid and spray some hairspray inside. And you'll see your cloud begin to form. So why is this happening? Essentially, clouds form when water from Earth's surface is heated and evaporates. It rises into the atmosphere and then it cools and condenses onto small microscopic particles that are in the atmosphere. In our experiment, the warm water allowed for the air inside the jar to heat up and rise and then cool as it encountered the temperature on top simulated by these ice cubes. And then as we sprayed the hairspray inside, it allowed the water vapor to condense onto something similar to how it would in the atmosphere. Pretty cool, huh? If you look very, very close, you can see that the cloud is sort of swirling a little bit. So why does that swirling occur? Well, it's because warm water is rising and cold water is sinking very slowly in a cycle. This is called a convection current. Convection currents are created by rising hot air or fluid and sinking cold fluids, allowing it to swirl in this motion. This way, you can make your very own cloud in a jar easily at home. Next, we'll move on to making a tornado in a bottle. So, what exactly causes a tornado? Tornadoes are caused by a change in speed and wind direction high up in the atmosphere, especially during thunderstorms. So when wind changes direction and speed, it spirals and horizontally. When there's rising air hitting this horizontal spiral, it tips it over and initiates a tornado. The tornado then begins to pick up more and more warm air around it and grows longer and longer, forming a funnel until it hits the ground and creates what we know as a tornado. We can actually simulate the same motion as a tornado with 2 bottles, one that's filled with water, and by connecting them. Once they're secured, flip it over and give it a really good shake. So what's going on here? Actually, what we've formed is a vortex. A vortex undergoes the same motions that a tornado does. Essentially, it allows liquids and gases to travel in spirals. And it's created when a rotating liquid or gas is funneled through an opening. And so this way, you can make your very own tornado right at home. Thank you for joining me for the weather demonstration. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time at Science Fun.